Hey everybody, I'm Mark and today I'll be reviewing Battle Chasers Nightwar, now available for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC. Let's kick things off by talking about gameplay. There's a vast ocean of JRPGs out there that shine like stars. Battle Chasers is heavily inspired by this genre and hopes to merge the best things about it. Battle Chasers, like most RPGs, is divided into two main aspects: exploration and combat. The exploration segments of Battle Chasers work like a mix between older Final Fantasy games and Diablo. You'll move about the overworld, interacting when prompted, taking quests, buying gear, and entering dungeons for a more in-depth experience. When exploring dungeons, the camera is zoomed in closer and you explore areas in blocks as you fill out a randomized map and reach your goal. You can swap the party leader at any time during these segments, and each leader has a set of unique skills that can help out, like laying traps for enemies, healing the party, or buffing the group before combat. There are some light puzzles to solve and a bunch of loot to uncover. These segments were mostly fine, but they did tend to feel a little slow, and backtracking is annoying if you hadn't activated the fast travel station at the start of each dungeon. The combat of Battle Chasers is in a similar state of mixing ideas that have worked in previous franchises. For example, the basics of combat feel like your average Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, while your special burst moves and overcharge feel like something closer to recent Square Enix or Compile Heart RPGs. Encounters are turn-based with a convenient turn order displayed on the far left of the screen. Here you can estimate how the turn will progress, as most abilities aren't instant. Each party member fits a general role like main attacker, tank, buffer, healer, and black mage. Some traditional roles have been fused together, like the tank and healer for the magic golem Calibretto. Most encounters aren't won in a single turn, and there's a decent amount of forethought needed when fighting unique hunts or story bosses. The unique hook for Battle Chasers combat is the overcharge and burst systems. Overcharge is basically an extension of your mana gauge that is granted by certain character actions such as a basic attack or taunt command. Overcharge can be spent without having to chip into your own mana reserves, allowing you to save your strength for more dangerous encounters, or to help prolong a fight if you're struggling. The other major feature is the burst gauge. This is basically a meter dictating when your party can use one of their special cutscene attacks or abilities. These range from granting the party damage shields, restoring mana, and dealing heavy damage to a single foe. These are all instant specials, so it can help in a pinch. It's nothing too special, but it helps Battle Chasers carve out an identity for itself. I found as the game progressed, the battles tend to drag on, and an option to speed up combat would have been appreciated. The game's difficulty also spikes randomly, and I felt the need to grind as I didn't think I could overcome an obstacle with a clever strategy. It's annoying as the grind for each level is quite slow, and some of the level requirements for new gear is a little outrageous, especially after gaining a new party member. There is also a heavy reliance on status ailments in this game. Afflictions can stack and increase in effectiveness. This is represented by numbers next to the icons, like a 2 next to the fire emblem indicating it's stacked twice. The upgrade and crafting systems also feel a little like an afterthought. At specific areas you can use your gathered materials at an atelier or workshop to craft new potions and weapons. More often than not, you'll find the same or better gear just a little further into the adventure, making it a little useless. Your party all have very similar upgrades like increased health or a higher critical rate. Rarely did the skills feel like it was unique to a single combatant. Next, let's talk about the narrative. Battle Chasers Nightwar is based on the comic series of the same name. It follows the tales of a ragtag team of misfits coming together over a common goal. The story isn't particularly unique, but neither is it something as simple as a quest for a dragon. While I'm not too familiar with the source material, the game does a decent job of bringing newcomers up to speed. But that's also mainly because the narrative is very self-contained, like a filler arc or anime movie. It's nice to have, but at the end of the day it doesn't add anything new. We find our heroes in the middle of an adventure flying through the sky searching for a mysterious source of mana. During the search, they are assaulted by bandits and stranded on a strange island. In order to get back to their journey, they decide to solve the island's problems and stop a new evil from threatening the world. It's nothing too special, and it does read like a side story, despite this being my first real experience with these characters. They feel like they've already been established and there's little to no character growth. Because of that, it almost feels like it's alienating potential fans, as comics like this are driven by their unique characters, and it's hard to get to know these personas when their story has already been told somewhere else. Next, let's talk about the look and feel of the game. Battle Chasers looks like a comic book come to life, but it also feels like Warcraft due to the very distinct exaggerations of the character and monster designs. The story scenes are few and far between, which is a shame because the comic book storytelling should have been consistent throughout. The regular cutscenes are decent, but the models are static. It still looks great and the character designs are very intricate. The actual in-game models echo Warcraft even more, and really wouldn't be out of place in that world either. In and out of combat, the models are well animated, and each attack animation or special move is intricate. Calibretto is a standout due to the amount of moving parts on him and the difference each of his weapons make. It's heavily stylized to make up for any graphical shortcomings. However, I still found some of the models to be strange up close, especially when they are performing burst attacks. I found it interesting that in combat your party was on the left side of the screen and enemies were on the right, as the reverse of traditional JRPGs. The game is also a little buggy on PC. The game froze on a few occasions and there were some graphical glitches when a party member was knocked out on their turn due to a status ailment. On one occasion the game just stopped registering any button or keyboard inputs and I had to force quit the game. The soundtrack suits the game world and nothing felt out of place. The opening cinematic and song really sets the tone and feel of the game. The voice acting was also good but also very sparse. I had a good amount of fun with battle chases. The first half of the game has great pacing and design, but the second I needed to backtrack and grind through a previous dungeon, I felt like the game lost all its momentum. It's not even that long of a game, which hurts the experience a bit more. Making a game based on a slightly obscure comic is an interesting way to make this series relevant to a new generation, but I feel like a stronger focus on story could have helped them in this endeavour. There are some good ideas here and the game has no shortage of style. I just think it needs a little extra work. Because of that, Battle Chases Nightwar is best enjoyed when you've waited for a sale, or at least for a patch. I hope you enjoyed that video. Stick around at GameCast for more great gaming content, and if you'd like to see more from me, you can find me here as part of the review team, or over at Arisen Culture. Hopefully this won't be the final time we see this fantasy world.